What's good, YouTube? Y'all already know who it is. It's your boy Zay, Xavier Khalid. Mr. X's get the name correct, so I know that you respect. Back with another video. If you didn't know, make sure you leave a like, share, comment, subscribe. Do what you do in your regular YouTube video, man. We gonna get straight into the article. So this article comes from the American Prospect, written by Naomi Bethune. And its headline: Trump wants black people barred from med school. Alright, so getting into the article, they say that in May, the Justice Department announced its findings that the Yale School of Medicine uses race in admissions reviews despite the Supreme Court's 2023 ruling striking down those race-based programs. So already we have Yale using race to define admissions. Though after they took away the DEI, the Supreme Court system, the Justice Department, is kind of looking into it like, yo, we stopped all those programs, y'all need to stop it because it's racist. Not really racist, you know, it's just helping further along people who are discriminated against educationally and, you know, in other systems, and is not really a good look on Trump's administration. So over the past year, higher education giants like Harvard and Columbia have made headlines for the tussles with Trump's Department of Justice. The administration contends that these schools weave DEI frameworks into their admissions reviews, grant programs, and other policies. But the Trump administration intended to make an even bigger splash by going after the nation's top medical schools. Yale wasn't the only medical school subject to federal scrutiny. It's been others of dozens of programs, and the DEI has shown that the policies which open doors for African Americans and other racial groups who have been historically excluded do not lower academic standards, nor do those programs take away opportunities from higher qualified candidates. So it's basically a lie that's told that you know, having these DEI programs takes away from qualified candidates, which are basically Caucasian people, because they had better economic opportunities as far as education to be able to pursue prestigious schools such as Yale and Harvard. So what they're saying is modern medicine advanced through the exploitation of black people, which it did, but the breakthroughs and effective care do not necessarily reach black patients. All throughout American history, not throughout black people's history, but throughout American history, they've been using our bodies, black bodies, and exploiting us into participating in to all these experiments, and unwillingly have been treating us for ailments that may or may not exist. And this has left us with a real detriment on our healthcare system, and it is the driving force and reason as to why most black Americans do not trust the healthcare system in the first place, because they just use our bodies as experimentation rather than allowing us to conduct in this research. And when black people do come into the light of actually participating in this research and bringing forth things that are actually beneficial in a medical standpoint, is mostly seen as witchcraft, even though they're natural remedies that we've been using for millennia now. You know, it's just cast off and wrote off as, you know, some type of wizardry or something. They're saying that black people have long been subjugated and harmed by the nation's views on race and health. For decades after enslavement, non-consensual and dangerous medical research was done on black Americans. Surgeons sterilized many black women in the 1900s. Modern gynecology practices originated in horrific experiments on enslaved black women by white doctors, and doctors facilitated the non-consensual removal of cancer cells from a black woman named Henrietta Lacks in 1951 for vaccine and other research. The racist lines of thinking that facilitated these experiments still run through America's healthcare system today. And we see stuff like this going on with the Sandra Bland Act. Now every black person has to have some type of mental disease or something because of the Sandra Bland Act. So if you get pulled over by the cops and there's nothing wrong, it's happened to me, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, they can't find nothing, they're good as well to John Doe you and basically leave you in a mental facility because they don't know what else to do with you. They can't take you to jail, and they have no corrective right to actually, you know, put some type of restraint on you. So for decades, medical schools, hospitals, and professional associations barred black people from practicing or teaching medicine. During the late 1800s, when the American mainstream medical system, particularly in medical schools, was taking shape, black people were prevented from becoming doctors and nurses. These beliefs still permeate medicine today, says Harriet Washington, a bioethics professor at Columbia University. So Harriet Washington says initially there was no data offered to support that, but this had implications for how African Americans were viewed in medicine, because the thought was that African Americans were constitutionally unsuitable for medicine. They weren't intelligent enough, and they weren't moral enough. They weren't disciplined enough. So still a whole bunch of false narratives about how black people conduct themselves and their mental aptitude and the lights of medical research and medicines, even though most of the time during the antebellum period, which is the slave period, these white researchers and doctors took on black interns because they actually knew how to treat some of the things that were wrong with some of the slaves, being overworked, not being well taken care of, not getting the proper rest, different illnesses that they had, and the ailments that they had to these illnesses. But as I said, most of it got cast off because a lot of these Caucasian doctors, they wanted to make a quick buck rather than actually advance medicine forward. Prior to the Supreme Court's 2023 decision, the number of black medical students was slowly trending upward. In 2024, however, the enrollment of black medical school students fell nearly 12%. The Trump administration's assault on medical school admissions practices that encourage enrolling students from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds will only compound this decline. They say that the country's ugly history of closing off medicine from African American physicians often makes medical schools and professional settings hostile and uncomfortable for black people. So with this information, they're saying that black medical students are twice as likely as their white peers to leave medical school, and discrimination, repeated microaggressions, and financial constraints are often cited as reasons. And then finally, they say that after years of progress, the Trump administration has walked back the federal government's acknowledgement of medical racism and health inequities and stalled further advances. We have the recidivism going on as all these inspiring messages about what we admit we've done wrong. We're hearing the exact opposite, says Washington. It's something that black people in medicine have been fighting for and continue to fight for. Now, I actually have a book on all the medical discrepancies, discrimination, and experimentation that's going on, called The Medical Apartheid. Be sure to check that out soon on the channel. I'll be going over it. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do these books that I have for the channel. Like, do I want to just go like select some chapters, bring y'all some quick facts, or do I want to just come out with the book review, the quick reviews, and let y'all go from there? But that's gonna be the article for the day, y'all. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. Where do you think that black people stand medically? Do you trust their word? What do you think of the distrust that most black Americans have of the healthcare system? Do you think that the healthcare system and the medical school system is just in doing this? And then also, what do you think that we can do to combat this, our mistrust in the education system and also the medical system? What are things that we can do to keep ourselves in better health and better shape, while also entrusting in our care physicians? Those gonna be your boys Xavier Khalid, Mr. X. Just get the name correct so I know that you respect. Hey man, leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, do what you do to regular YouTube video. Make sure you hype this video up after you like it, and turn on post notifications so you know when I drop another video. I'm about to head to work. Hey y'all, it's been your boy Zay. Like I said, man, Free World Gang and I keep holding it down. The saga continues. Peace. Love y'all.